There are only two things when it comes down to that someone can expect. Either they expect Christ or they expect death. Let me explain that very briefly onto you. When you were unsaved, where you were born in a religious household where they practice Buddhism or Hinduism or whatever ism or whatever entity they were practicing, whether it was Christianity or whatever, you were not in agreement with Christ. Your expectation was, I need to live good, I need to do good, I need to work out, and maybe after I passed away, there will be peace for me. Or you may have joined some paranormal club, in the sense that you joined as cult where you practice paranormal stuff, and now you get an advantage over other people, but still you operated from self-preservation in order to be relieved. So you expected death, and you sought relief from death. The relief from death can either be by denying death at all and indulging yourself in consumerism, what is happening today, what has become kind of the norm in Western societies, or it can be that you just become cynical and self-destructive, thinking, well, we're all going to die one day, so anyway, you were expecting death. Once you become born again and you're renewed in your mind, when you're renewing your mind, that death-centeredness disappears, because relief-centered can only remain as long as death remains. And as long as death remains important, relief-centeredness can operate. That's why Scripture may explain in the book of Proverbs that those that don't love the Most High, they love death. Because it's only death, and let's say the fear of death, that validates the worldly way of thinking. So when you become born again and you're renewed in your mind, relief-centeredness is worked out, darkness is worked out, because now you know that you're born. One day this body will fall apart, just like it happened to billions before you, as it will happen to millions, maybe even billions after you. But you know that once this body has fallen apart, where it happens at age 80 or age 100, it doesn't really matter what happens to this body, because you, the real you, will be in the archive, in Sheol. You won't be active, you won't even notice you're there. And at the resurrection, when Christ has returned, you'll be resurrected. You'll be picked up from the archive, and you'll receive a new body. And that body will be forever. That body will be immortal. So you know that what people call death is just a phase in between you departing from your first body and entering your second and permanent body. So you're now in a temporal body, and later you have a permanent body. And the phase in between is what we call death. You are in the archive, while your first body is either buried or cremated or whatever happens to it. So when you are renewed in your mind, you know that you expect Christ, because you know that Christ has overcome, that the Lamb of God reigns on the throne. So because of this, your outlook upon circumstances changes. When something bad happens, you have a confident expectation of good, that you know, oh, something bad happens, great. Now I can practice operating by faith. Now I can operate in supernatural to overcome that, to overrule what has happened. You get what I'm saying here? Worldly people have positive thinking, and positive thinking works, but their positivity is short-lived. You are operating in righteousness, so your positivity is the positivity. It's not the counterfeit, short-lived positivity of the world. So when you are in agreement with Christ, you expect life. You have a confident expectation of good. And this is how you can distinguish whether a ministry is really from the Most High or not. This is just one of them. I'm not saying that you only have to look at this criteria to determine it, okay? There are more factors you need to consider. But this is one of the most important factors to determine whether a ministry or a movement or a congregation is from the Most High, or is powered by demons. If they don't point you out to Christ, to rely upon Him so that you will have a confident expectation of good all the time, if they're not doing that, but they're referring on to works, referring on to keeping the Sabbath or keeping some moon cycle, or you have to will stuff, if they refer to anything else than relying upon Christ to receive power, supernatural power for you to overcome, then they're not from the Most High. That means that lying spirits are behind those people. I'm not saying those people have wrong intentions. I'm not saying those people are willfully harming you. No, they're not. Those people are deceived. They don't know any better, and lying spirits are using them to trap other people. Well, have a confident expectation of good, because that is what you ought to have as a believer. That being said, be at peace.